Today we are reacting to the PPP loan, which is the Paycheck Protection Program. So the government, they ended up issuing this for the COVID relief for these different businesses that may have, needed assistance in this time. We are looking at some of the big money players, I guess you could say, that was caught up with like millions of dollars, like 24 million all the way to like in the 70s, 70 million or so. And the first guy, well, I'm going to tell you about my guy. This guy name is Robert Ben Levi, and he's 53. He submitted 27 PPP loan applications to 4 different banks, and he sought 27 million in these loans from 8 businesses that were solely owned by Mr. Ben Levi. He said he had a monthly payroll of $400,000, but he didn't have any employees, so he was doing all the work. He was convicted of bank fraud, of course, and he faced up to 30 years in prison for each one, and then 10 years in prison for money laundering as well.
There was another guy involved in it. He ran a tax prep company. This guy took like $23 million worth of loans out, and out of it he got like 18 million by basically lying about how many employees were there. That seems to be like a running theme, lying about how many employees you have to basically inflate the number that you get on your application, and then really get the most amount of this money. So yeah, this guy, he went about doing that for multiple different businesses. Given that he does tax preparation, it's very shiesty. But he's doing this for all these different companies. So he's somewhere in Texas. A lot of these guys are in Texas doing these scams. But he's out there, living the high life in his apartment building. People starting to catch on to him because he's pulling up in fancy cars, pulling up in designer head to toe. He's really like peacocking, as they say, peacocking. He's doing the most in the peacock in this apartment. And then you have people just ended up, I'm sure, like alerting the authorities about this guy. And so he drew the spotlight to himself. And now he's facing 10 years. But plot twist, he was already facing tax crime charges. Those I have not dug into. Again, that's just part of the Fox story that we checked out on this guy. But yeah, he was already like basically, out on release, awaiting sentencing on one of these crimes, and he thinks he's going to use his business and other people's businesses to run the crime some more. He's going to use all his expert knowledge of avoiding, penalties with this, but he's already facing penalties for this, so that wasn't that smart. So yeah, that guy's going to jail. He's going to jail. Then there's another guy. Federal prosecutors recently arrested the Paycheck Protection Program lender of this particular company, NBE Capital Partners. They issued $823 million in PPP loans across 36,000 businesses. And this guy, he used those connections to basically bolster up the deals on his company as well as other companies to get extra PPP loan money to the tune of about $71 million in fees, lending fees generated, basically. Yeah, this guy was pretty shiesty. Got another guy, $27 million. He does it with, I think it's his father. I mean, that's on the Department of Justice right now, though. You go to justice.gov. All throughout Sugar Land and Katy, Texas. You got guys guys basically ripping up. This is like a family operation because one of them was 29, one of them was 55. Again, this is a operation, family, and all in the business of the family there. But effectively, they generated $32 million of PPP loan money. Some people are saying the PPP loan is like the greatest fraud of all time at this point. What would you say to that? Would you honestly say it's the greatest fraud at this point? Based on
you gotta say all that over again because it won't be cheer. That back part that you just said when the cheer was going on.
Would you say that the PPP loan is the greatest fraud of all time, like some people are saying? Again, and when I say greatest, I mean like financially impact. I mean, we know now that billions of dollars were put into this program. Would you call it the biggest fraud ever? Or would you say, I mean, there's been bigger frauds?
I can't name any frauds in particular, but there's been way bigger frauds than this, I'm sure, because this is just everyday people versus somebody that has millions and billions and getting away with it. They're not in jail and they'll never see any jail time. But anyway.
The point of us doing this video really is to bring awareness to people that may be coming up in the next generation that are going to be thinking about getting involved in some of these kind of loans to defraud the government. I just suggest you don't do it. Here are the results. You know, you're going to see, like, again, you're going to see this one guy, the Lambo or whatever car it is, and, you know, the nice clothes, if you want to call those nice clothes. You know, it's certainly designer. But on the other end, he's going to be wearing, you know, the federal issue jumpsuit in federal prison for it, probably at least 80% of that time, you know. I don't remember exactly how that works out. Fortunately, I've never had to deal with going to jail. But, you know, you could be in a position of, you know, wearing that same jumpsuit, basically, you know, not wearing this designer. So was having this designer underneath of the false pretenses worth it? I don't think it was, and I don't think anybody would say it was. So I think the big reason we put this one out here and we're going to do stuff like this, we're going to react to people behaving badly. I mean, behaving badly, and what are the consequences of that? You know, sometimes people are wise enough to learn lessons without living those lessons themselves, but to learn the lessons through the stories and, unfortunately, the misfortunes of others. And I mean, this is certainly a misfortunate position to find yourself in, thinking that you were able to scam the government, you know, aka scam other people, because, again, we're all paying into this system. You know, there's billions of dollars all came from people who go to work. You know what I mean? Like, we all go to work. And so for you to go out there and steal the money that was set aside for people to continue to be able to go to work is just kind of doubly foul. And so you're going to get yours. Like, you know, Biden made it a point. And why wouldn't he? Like, this is the easy one for everybody to want to get behind, the working man to want to get behind, quote unquote. You know, you're going to get yours if you went ahead and did the PPP loan scamming. You know, if you took the PPP loan out and you actually paid your payroll, you did the right things by it, you know, what can I say but you're welcome, you know, you're welcome for taking the money, you know. I didn't take any PPP loan money. I paid into that system like everybody else paid into that system. So you're welcome. But you people that scammed it, you know, you're going to get yours. That's real. You know, and it's coming to you because you scammed the system. So I hope you enjoyed the 10K some of you guys scammed, the 20K some of you guys scammed, the 50K some of you guys scammed. I hope you enjoyed it. At least I hope it was a good time when you had the money, because there's going to be consequences for that kind of behavior. And just let it be known, you can't carry yourself like that. You got to, believe it or not, produce goods and services people want. to pay you for, to have things. You gotta do that ad infinitum, really. You gotta do that at scale if you want things. That's what you gotta do. Not figure out how to scam people, because you're going to get caught, especially nowadays. The internet's so deep now, you're going to get caught.
If you're going to try to fraud the government, the federal government, at least switch it around and end up making some money with that money, since you already know that you're about to have to pay this money back. That way, maybe some jail time could be avoided for you. I'm not saying, I know how this whole thing works, but that's just, well, if I was to do this and I knew that this money wasn't going, to my employees like I say I have, I would at least try to turn it into something, make a living for myself at this point then, since I got this extra money. Instead of, like you were saying, just wanting to buy the latest fashion designers. Like, all you're doing is paying for a name. Why do you want to be a walk-in logo or billboard for these companies that do nothing for you? I know everybody, has different tastes and they like different things, but at the same time, it's like you're liking manufactured taste. Like, this is the taste that everybody likes. Like, be a little more original here.
Yeah, I think that was a great note. We can close out on that. Yeah, I mean, to do the same thing that everybody else has done, or quote unquote wants to do, just to say you've done it, or have the same things that everybody else wants to have, just to say that you have it and wear it. I mean, it's a pretty vapid existence right there. I would hope you could find some kind of originality within yourself, and let that express, as opposed to just this expression of, where we are right now. This overly gaudy, overly capitalistic kind of approach to life. And if you're going to be a capitalist, at least play the game the way it's supposed to be played by those of us who are supposed to play it the way that we're supposed to play it. I'm not going to get into all that right now, but some people who know how to read between the lines are reading between the lines right now. If you're supposed to play the game this certain way in capitalism, I suggest that you just play it that way and play it to the best of your abilities, move to scale. Because you try to do all these little shortcuts, you try to take the Kennedy route. Everyone doesn't get to play the game of capitalism that way, is what I'm saying to you folks. So if you're playing the game that you're supposed to be playing, you won't end up in these kind of situations, is what I'm saying. You will significantly reduce your odds of ending up under these jails, or ended up with no money whatsoever and no reputation with which to ply your trades and to feed yourself and your family. You will end up in these kind of situations when you become involved in fraud of your fellow man and woman. It's not just this amorphous, we fraud the government. No, you actually defrauded people who have to pay this. We had to pay for this money for it to be there. It's not just I'm just getting the government. I'm getting back at the government, or it's just the government. No, the government is us, and we the government to an extent. I mean, we don't have equal representation. I'll get into that in another video. Debate me on it if you like. It's not equal representation going on right now. But certainly the budget, that's our budget. So we can't be supporting fraud within our budget from anybody. Just because they fraud doesn't mean that we fraud higher. We fraud lower. We don't fraud at all. Those don't do it. A couple of reacts. Get into the comment section. Tell us what you think about the PPP loan. Like, legitimately, do you think it's okay that people took the money? Do you think that it's just coming from this amorphous body of money? They're just printing money, so just take it. Is that how you think? I honestly want to